there was one situation where I was doing a lot of reading because I needed some other thoughts in order to get good. And I was still not even in my own territory. I was still working in somebody else's territory. I hadn't been assigned it. I was a trainee still. And I had cold called this one company. And the executive assistant, I'm knocking on doors, cold calling at that time. The executive assistant actually said that her company was making a copier decision. And I said, oh, great, and we
Perfect.
were going to
Great.
demo for the following week. I was so excited. I was still a trainee. And over the weekend, I read a book called Selling at the Top or something like that. It was about how you always needed to work with executives and don't spend your time with the, secretaries or, executive assistants. They had no power. And so I realized in my mind that was talking to the wrong person. She was the assistant to the president of the company. It was, not a huge company, but she was the assistant to the president. And so on Monday, when I got back to the office, I got on the phone and I called the guy who was running the company. And I was so excited because he agreed to meet with me. And so later that week I came in and I was in the lobby waiting and I, said, I'm here to see Mr. Big. And they said, sure. And so instead of Mr. Big coming down to meet me, he sent his secretary down to meet me. And she said, Jill, what are you doing here? And I said, well, I'm here to meet Mr. Big. And she got right in my face and she pointed her finger at me and she said, I told you I was making this decision. What do you think you are doing going around my back? And she's swearing at me and yelling at me.
Wow.
And my mother had never yelled at me like that. I mean, it was the worst chewing out I ever gotten from a stranger even. And there I am in a lobby with other people watching me and I passed out on the floor. And then I came to and she said, are you okay? And I said,
Oh my God.
whoa,
This is a crazy experience.
And then she helped me get up, put me in the chair. I put my head down between my knees. And then she said, I looked up at her and she said, don't you ever come back. I had to leave there and they were my hot prospect. I was a trainee. I had so blown it. I expected them to be calling my boss and saying what a horrible person I was. And I got out in the car and started crying because I was humiliated and everything. And I really had to make a decision about whether I picked myself up on the floor and continued in sales or not. And so I literally made a choice to keep going and to figure it out. And I stopped at that point and said, okay, Jill, you really screwed up. You really screwed up.
Yeah.
Really. What did you learn from it? What did you learn from it? I mean, most people would just stop at the really screwed up stuff, but I went because
and try to quit or something, like use that as the one thing.
What did I learn from it? I had to learn from that experience and I had to be able to translate it so it didn't happen to me again because I had to learn sales in 1 year. That was my goal.
Now, did that happen like 6 months in, a year in, 3 months in?
About 4 months in.
Okay. So you're like, I've got 8 months left. I got to crush it. I got to keep going. That's awesome. Wow.
So in terms of a pivotal decision, I refused to quit. I refused to, and I see this so often with salespeople. I see them not do well in the first few months of their career, and then they start to doubt their ability to be successful. And then they start saying, well, maybe I'm in the wrong job. Maybe I shouldn't have gone here. And even people who go to other companies where they've been at one place, they go to another place and it's so complicated and they're selling something, they don't get the customers, they don't understand how to do it, and they give up too soon. And the reality of it is, I kept having to say to myself that you just haven't figured it out yet. And the people that are ahead of you aren't that much smarter than you. They just have figured it out already, and you haven't figured it out yet. So the word "yet" was crucial to me.
You talked a lot about being a sponge. So you try to learn as much as possible. At the beginning, you talked a lot about being humble. Like you were there to learn, so you were super humble with trying to just learn from everyone, which I love that. Asking for a lot of feedback. It sounded like you iterated a lot. You were always iterating, like learning and then optimizing. Keep going from failure. Refuse to quit. Every mistake's a big learning experience, and be curious. Ask a lot of questions. Those are amazing. Like, it sounds like that's what led to a lot of the Xerox success. Yeah. And then what made you decide to leave the hardware and go into the tech stuff?
Tech was cooler.
Cooler, like the new thing.
It was where things were going. It was where the smart people were going. And it was
awesome.
all the excitement.